We need to talk about the Honda Civic, because the used car market has completely lost its mind over this thing. People are still paying $16,000 or $17,000 for a 2017 with 100,000 miles on it, priced like it just rolled off the showroom floor. And here's the part that should bother you, that 2017 Civic runs a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine paired with a CVT. A small turbo engine working hard for fuel economy, connected to a transmission that uses a steel belt and pulleys instead of real gears. By 100,000 miles, both systems are already well into their higher-risk years. But the badge says Honda, so most buyers stop asking questions. That's not just paying for reliability, it's paying a Honda tax. To be clear, the Civic is a good car. The problem is that it became a status symbol, and status symbols always cost more than they're worth. Millions of buyers open AutoTrader, type Honda Civic, scroll through hundreds of listings, and never look at what's parked next to it on the lot. That habit is costing people $4,000 to $5,000 right now on the used market. Here's the trap. You pay the Honda tax and tell yourself you bought the safest option. But independent reliability data shows there are cars in the same price range with simpler engines, real transmissions, and equal or better reliability scores. Cars nobody talks about because they don't have 4 letters on the hood that make people feel safe. And in 2026, this matters more than ever. New car prices are above $50,900 on average, import duties are adding roughly $3,700 per vehicle, and millions of buyers are flooding into the used market. They're all chasing the same overpriced names, Civics, Corollas, RAV4s, while 3 overlooked sedans are sitting on lots for thousands less despite being mechanically stronger buys. Today I'm giving you 3 used sedans under $15,000, the exact years to look for, and the real reason they make more financial sense than the Civic most people are overpaying for. Quick favor before we start. Hit the like button and subscribe. Not for me. So the next person cross-shopping a Civic actually sees this before they overpay. Number 3. I already know what some of you are thinking. A Buick. My grandmother drives a Buick. Here we go. That reputation is real, but it belongs to the LeSabre era. The land yachts. The cars that came in one color, beige, and one speed, slow. We're not touching those. The 2014 to 2017 Buick Regal is a completely different animal, and the fact that most people don't know that is exactly why it's sitting on lots for $8,000 to $12,000 while a Civic with the same mileage goes for $15,000. Look for a 2015 or a 2016. Here's why that window matters. The 2011 to 2013 models had some growing pains with the electrical system. Window regulators like to fail, and the infotainment could be temperamental. By 2014, GM had cleaned most of that up. The 2018 model jumped to an entirely new platform, which means different parts sourcing going forward. The 2015 and 2016 sit in the gap between the early issues and the platform change. Fully mature engineering. Deepest depreciation curve. Maximum value. Here's the strange part. This car wasn't designed in Detroit. It was co-developed with Opel, General Motors' European division. The platform, the suspension geometry, the steering calibration, all of it comes from the same engineering group that builds cars for the Autobahn. Under the hood sits a 2.0-liter LTG turbocharged 4-cylinder that won Ward's 10 best engines 3 years running. It makes up to 259 horsepower in the GS trim, and it's bolted to a 6-speed automatic that engages real gears and shifts when you tell it to. No rubber band feeling. No droning on the highway. No belt and pulleys pretending to be a transmission. It's the automotive equivalent of finding a tailored suit at a thrift store. The stitching is German. The price tag is American. Compare that to the Civic, where that 1.5 turbo is doing everything it can to squeeze fuel economy out of a small block while the CVT stretches a steel belt instead of locking into gears. The Regal's turbo has more displacement, more headroom, and it's breathing easier at highway speed. Annual maintenance on the Regal averages $563 according to RepairPal. The Civic averages roughly the same. But you're paying $4,000 to $5,000 less for the Regal on the used market. That's not a rounding error. That's a family vacation. One thing worth checking before you hand over any money. The turbo inlet piping on these uses a rubber accordion-style connector between the airbox and the throttle body. Over time it cracks at the folds. The part costs about $30 online. The fix takes 10 minutes with basic tools. But if you don't catch it, the car throws a check engine light, runs rough, and a dealer will quote you $600 to diagnose and replace something you could handle in your driveway. During your test drive, pop the hood and squeeze that connector. If it's soft, cracked, or you can see daylight through the folds, you just found a $30 problem and $500 of negotiating leverage. You can still find one of these for $8,000 to $14,000 depending on mileage and year. The turbo trim is the sweet spot. It gives you the 2.0-liter engine, leather, and a surprisingly refined interior without pushing the price into territory where you might as well buy something German and pay the repair bills to match. The Buick Regal depreciates like a luxury car and costs like an economy car. That's not a flaw. That's a gift to every buyer who's paying attention. That's number 3. Number 2 is a car you've already sat in. You've probably driven one. And you dismissed it before you ever gave it a real chance. Let's be honest. When you hear Chevrolet Impala, you think rental car. You sat in one at the Hertz counter, the seats smelled like someone else's road trip, and you wrote the whole thing off. That reputation belongs to the 9th generation Impala. The one with the cheap plastic and the wheezy 3.5-liter that felt like it was apologizing for existing. So Chevrolet did something no one expected. They rebuilt the Impala from the ground up, put a real engine in it, gave it an interior that could pass for a car twice its price, and then watched as America completely ignored it because the name said Chevy instead of Lexus. Look for a 2016 or 2017, though any 2015 through 2020 works. Here's why you skipped the 2014. First model year of the redesign. 12 NHTSA recalls. Electrical gremlins. Early adopter tax. By 2015, all of that was ironed out. The 2020 is the final year, and Chevy killed the Impala because Americans stopped buying sedans, not because the car had problems. That's an important distinction. The car didn't fail. The market moved. Here's why this one's worth your time. The engine in the 2015 to 2020 Impala is a 3.6-liter V6 making 305 horsepower. Not a turbocharged 4-cylinder trying to act like a 6. An actual V6 with 6 actual cylinders doing what a V6 does. That same engine family powers the Cadillac CTS and the Chevrolet Camaro. It's the automotive version of a cast iron skillet. Simple, proven, almost nothing to break. And it's paired with a 6-speed automatic. Real gears. Not a CVT. Not a dual clutch trying to be clever. A torque converter automatic that shifts clean, holds under load, and doesn't need a software update to remember how to drive uphill. While the Civic CVT is doing math to simulate what a real transmission does naturally, the Impala's 6-speed is just shifting gears. No math. No simulation. Just metal engaging metal. Now here's the part that should make you stop scrolling. A 2017 Impala Premier stickered at $44,000 new. Leather seats. Bose audio. Adaptive cruise control. The full package. Right now, that same car with 80,000 miles is sitting on a lot for $13,000 to $15,000. That's 65% depreciation. For the seller, that's a disaster. For you, that's the deal of the year. You're getting a full-size sedan with 305 horsepower, a leather interior, and Toyota-level maintenance costs for the price of a base model Corolla with cloth seats and a 4-cylinder. While the base Civic is running its little turbo through a CVT at 100,000 miles and hoping nothing leaks, the Impala's 3.6 V6 is barely getting started. That's not a stretch. I've had 3 of these come through my shop in a 2-month window. All 3 needed the same thing. Tires and an oil change. One had 161,000 miles. The engine looked like it had half that. Clean and dry. No leaks. No codes. RepairPal gives it a 4.0 out of 5, ranked 5th out of 12 in its class, with an annual repair cost of $568. That's not good for a Chevy. That's good for anything. The honest catch. Some of these V6 engines consume a little oil at higher mileage. Not all of them. Not catastrophically. But enough that you should check the dipstick before you buy. Pull it with the engine cold. If the oil level is a quart low and the seller calls it normal, look. If it's full and the underside of the oil cap is clean, you're good. Takes 30 seconds. Do it with the seller standing right there. You can find a 2016 or 2017 for $12,000 to $18,000. The LT with a V6 is the sweet spot. It gives you the 305 horsepower engine, reasonable tech, and enough comfort that you'll forget you're driving a car the market decided wasn't worth remembering. That's number 2. Before I show you number 1, drop your guess in the comments. I guarantee most of you are wrong. And the ones who get it right already know what's up. Number 1. This is the car that made me rethink how I talk about an entire brand. And when I show you the reliability data, the actual numbers, you're going to wonder why every car channel on this platform isn't screaming about it. Here's the part that surprises people. When I tell someone to look at a Mazda 3, the most common response I get is Mazda still around? They are. And the 2014 to 2018 Mazda 3 might be the single most undervalued car in the used market right now. Not because it's obscure, because everybody who should have bought one bought a Civic instead and paid $5,000 more for the privilege of 4 letters on the hood. Look for a 2016 or a 2017. Here's why that exact window matters. The 2014 and 2015 models are excellent mechanically, but they have a known touchscreen issue. The digitizer delaminates over time, causing ghost touches and dead zones on the display. Mazda extended the warranty on it to 7 years, but every 2014 and 2015 is past that coverage now. By 2016, the infotainment system was refined, the overall build quality hit its stride, and the price on the used market is at its lowest point. The 2018 still works, but prices start creeping up because it overlaps with the facelift. The 2016 and 2017 give you peak reliability at the floor price. That's the window. Under the hood is Mazda's Skyactiv G engine. You can get a 2.0-liter making 155 horsepower or a 2.5-liter making 184. Both are naturally aspirated. No turbo, no supercharger, nothing trying to be clever. Just a direct injection 4-cylinder doing exactly what it was built to do and nothing more. Here's the detail that separates this car from almost everything in the compact segment. Both engines use a timing chain, not a timing belt. A timing belt is a rubber component that needs to be replaced every 60 to 100,000 miles. If it snaps before you get to it, the engine eats itself. Valves hit pistons. The motor is finished. A timing chain is metal. It's designed to last the life of the engine. You change the oil. You drive the car. You don't set a calendar reminder to spend $800 or risk total engine failure. The transmission is a 6-speed automatic or a 6-speed manual. No CVT anywhere near this car. Mazda never put a CVT in the 3. That single engineering decision puts it in a different category than the Civic, the Corolla, the Sentra, the Elantra, and almost every other compact on the road. While the Civic CVT is working overtime to simulate what a normal transmission does naturally, the Mazda 3 6-speed is doing the actual job with actual gears. Consumer Reports gave the 2014 through 2018 Mazda 3 a perfect 5 out of 5 for predicted reliability. Out of 36 compact cars rated. That's not 4 out of 5. That's not above average. That's the highest score they give, and the Mazda 3 earned it during a window when the Civic's 1.5-liter turbo was logging oil dilution complaints and the Corolla CVT was drawing shutter reports at 60,000 miles. That's not hype. That's a decade of receipts. Here's where the math gets uncomfortable for anyone who ever defaulted to a Civic. A 2017 Honda Civic with 100,000 miles is going for $15,000 to $17,000 in most markets right now. A 2017 Mazda 3 with the same mileage? $10,000 to $12,000. You're saving $4,000 to $5,000 on a car that Consumer Reports scored higher on reliability. Annual maintenance on the Mazda 3 runs $300 to $400. Lower than the Civic. Lower than the Corolla. Lower than the Elantra. Lower than every car your uncle told you to buy. The people buying Civics are paying a Honda tax. The people buying Mazda 3s are buying the car. One thing worth knowing. Skyactiv engines are direct injection, which means they're prone to carbon buildup on the intake valves over time. Every direct injection engine on the market has this characteristic. It's physics, not a defect. The maintenance answer is a walnut blast or chemical cleaning of the intake valves every 60 to 70,000 miles. An independent shop charges about $200 for it. If the previous owner didn't do it, you're not walking into a disaster. You're walking into a $200 maintenance item and an opportunity to negotiate the price. You can find a 2016 or 2017 for $8,000 to $15,000. The Touring trim is the sweet spot. It gives you the 2.5-liter engine, blind spot monitoring, a backup camera, and enough standard features that you'll realize you didn't compromise to save money. You just stopped overpaying. That's why it's sitting at number 1. The Buick Regal if you want European engineering at American prices. The Chevy Impala if you want a $45,000 car for $13,000. And the Mazda 3 if you want the most reliable compact on the market for $5,000 less than a Civic. 3 cars. All under $15,000. All ignored. All Goldmines. Before you sign anything on your next used car, do one thing. Pull up the Repair Pal page for whatever you're about to buy. Look at the annual repair cost. Look at the reliability score. Look at the severity rating. 10 minutes of homework saves thousands of dollars of regret. That information is free. The car you're about to overpay for is not. Drop a comment and tell me which of these three you're actually going to go look at first. Your answer might be exactly what helps the next person watching this make a better decision. If this was helpful, subscribe. Every week we put out honest, no-nonsense car advice like this. No hype, no sponsored opinions, just real information for real buyers who work hard for their money. See you in the next one.